Okay, so this launch of the new institute here in DCU, what do you think is going to be the big thing about the future of journalism?
I think the scale of and pace of expansion is going to continue, and if that is informed by really good, pertinent research, it will make for better decisions. It will make digital business more sustainable. It will help legacy players as they move from a print dominant to a digital dominant environment. So I think it's a fantastic initiative by DCU. I think ongoing research will be a very important thing. The relationship with the Reuters Institute is a very good one. The quality of their research is unquestionable. And I think building on that, the research in terms of its relevance to Ireland will be very interesting.
And you mentioned legacy players there. So what kind of skills from traditional journalism is going to roll over into the digital realm?
Well, I'm very strongly of the view that an approach to quality journalism and all that requires, and it's not easy, but that if you commission journalism of public interest and pursue that and achieve that, you will be successful in the digital space. But I think there's a big ask there, because we're moving from an era where it was a text and image dominated kind of environment in terms of media. Now the digital story has 20 or 25 different forms, and in many ways you have to do all of them, or a good many of them, to really be digitally engaging, to attract an audience, to get them to participate, to be distinctive in the digital space.
So what do you think about the future of journalism after seeing the talk here this morning?
I think it's a huge challenge, particularly digital is a massive challenge, but I think it's also an opportunity. I think that journalism is worried, but I don't think it needs to be. My own personal view is that the data analytics that we have are getting more and more sophisticated, so it's not a choice between clicks and quality anymore. I think there's going to be a huge amount of convergence both between television and radio and print in the online space. There's going to be a lot of regulatory challenges around that, but I think the future is rosy.
So you say data analytics, we've got these new tools now through the online age. What about the traditional skills of the journalist? How much of that is going to carry over?
Well, you see, the new tools will gauge your success, but your success depends on the traditional values, which is trust and accuracy, fairness, impartiality. I think if you look at the data that Reuters have brought out, it's incredibly impressive how much the BBC, which is engaging probably more than any other organisation with the new data analytics to make sure that it's reaching its correct audiences, but the BBC is still dominating in terms of trust. So you'll only go somewhere if you believe and have faith in the organisation that's providing you with the news.
So after the talk here this morning, what do you think about the future of journalism?
I think it's probably too early to say yet, because I'm really, really looking forward to the sessions that are coming up this afternoon. No, not saying there wasn't great stuff this morning so far, but if you take the likes of Mulcahy Brown and Mark Little, who really are on the cusp of reinventing journalism, it's their opinions in this context that I'm really interested to hear. Because a lot of the stuff that we're hearing right now, it looks at metrics, there's a bit of analysis, but we're very traditional so far. We've heard very much the party line, the kind of official line from the big players. It's the new disruptors, the guys we're about to talk to, who really have insights that I think are going to provoke and challenge a lot of this audience. So I'm going to hold my tongue for now, which is rare, but I am for now going to hold my tongue.
So in your job in RT, you deal a lot with the technology side, how it's changing there. What do you think about the traditional skills of the journalist? How do they move over into this new digital age?
I think, at the end of the day, the production skills, be it using a mobile gear, DSLRs, small cameras, whatever, they are technical skills. The core parts of journalism, how to tell a good story, understanding the principles of impartiality, legal understanding, all that stuff, that's still fundamentally the same, almost irrespective of platform. I think the way you construct the story changes, and I think understanding the dynamics of how the audience responds to those stories also change, but the core remains the same. I saw Mulcahy Brown talk at a conference just over 2 weeks ago, and he talked about the essence of the journalistic skill, research, how to dig into it, how to back it up, how to cross-reference it. All those things are absolutely relevant today as they were 20 years ago, before mobiles even became anything.
So after the talk today, what do you think about the future of journalism?
I think the future of journalism in Ireland is definitely bright. I know I'd like to see an awful lot more original Irish content coming into it. There's an awful lot of international brands. There's nothing wrong with that because it's new styles and it's really interesting. It definitely gives the opportunity for new types of journalists to put their work on show and to push the boundaries of what journalism will be in Ireland. So I think it's definitely going to be really interesting. But I think the best thing we'd like to see is more original Irish journalism, just in hard news particularly as well.
So you spoke earlier about the use of online platforms. What about the traditional skills of the journalists? How will they come over to the new platforms?
I think they're really enhanced by digital platforms. I mean, I know myself as a journalist, you can move in between audio, video, writing, and you can find really new and creative and innovative ways of telling a story about, telling the news story. It can be straightforward, hard news articles, but you can really push the boundaries of storytelling in that regard. So yeah, I think that in terms of that crossover, it's really enhanced basic skills. All the basic skills are still there. You still have to be a good writer, you still have to verify your information, you still have to do all of those things. And one of the things that I think that emerges a lot from the brand list, and when we looked at it in terms of how news is valued, is how original journalism, like you see an awful lot of the producers of original journalism rise to the top of these lists and become more popular. So it is a good indication of what the audience wants. So I think there's a really good enhancement of skills for digital journalists.
So after this morning's talks, what do you think about the future of journalism? Is it in good hands?
Absolutely. I think we're probably in one of the most exciting periods for journalism. I think the digital sector has introduced loads of new skills. I think the curation of content outside of domestic market is also, I think, an important element for any democracy, that people have access to content at their fingertips. And I think the fast-moving aspect of technology ensures that as content creators, we must be delivering content that's relevant, but also where the audience is going, so that it's audience first.
How do traditional skills, you mentioned you have to curate content now, how do traditional skills still play a part in that? Where does the importance of the story lie now?
I think for anybody who enters journalism, I don't think you necessarily enter it because you have a desire to be anything other than someone who is bringing truth to a story or investigating an injustice. I think those elements still remain. A good story is determined by the value it brings to the audience, and I think regardless of technology, regardless of new media, there are inequalities in society. There are stories that need to be discussed at levels that need lots of analysis. And again, I suppose bringing it back that social media, digital platforms allow us to bring different elements of media and media platforms to how a story is delivered to the audience.